Once that started, we'll have Jackie introduce Diana.
It's a privilege to have Diana Dawson from Bridging speak with us this evening and share. Diana has 30 years of experience in nonprofit management. She's in community relations, marketing, and human resources. Prior to joining the Bridging team in 2004, she was a small business owner, consultant, and product specialist. Diana is currently responsible for community and strategic partnerships, engagement, and procurement. She finds great joy in connecting new partners and champions the Bridging mission so they make an immediate impact in the community. She believes it is vital that everyone live in a furnished home so they can thrive in life. Please welcome Diana.
Thank you, Jackie. Would you like to reset your camera there? Excellent. All right.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Either way, I thought I'd just
No,
make
I love
sure.
it. That's a great idea.
Be able to see her.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me out. Thank you, Jackie, for the invitation and the board around the table and those online. I'm very lucky. As you said, the numbers, because I've been at Bridging long enough now that I make people do the math. Yes, it's been 20 years. But that's also because I'm very entrepreneurial in the work that I like to do. But I also in the work I've done in other businesses. I come from family business, and everything about it is let's just keep serving more. I'm going to give you a little bit of history of Bridging, where we're at today. We'll talk about how we're serving, get into the stuff. I love in your mission and in your values as you talk about centering the clients, and we do too. And it does help frame and have people think differently about the work we're doing and why we do it. Why else do I stick around that long? Because I'm not selling widgets. Right. We're really helping people where this started in 1987, and with our founder Fran, is really truly bridging that gap. And back then it would from those who have to those who have not, but it is essentially the start of a reuse center. We just didn't have words for it back then. Help each other out. I put it into terms pretty simply as a furniture bank, you know where to go with food, you know where to go with clothing. My furniture bank was called Mom and Dad. I was fortunate enough to have resources at my disposal, a family who all still lived in the cities and big families. I had family who had resources and privilege, and all I had to do was pick up the phone and make a plea. Not everyone has that opportunity to pick up the phone and make a plea. And so I am always looking forward to getting the word out and talking to people about our evolution. Where we are today, since 1987, we have served over 115,000 households. 345,000 people. I think we all run in numbers, but that's 38 years. So it's really easy to think, oh, no big deal. Like every year, someone's like, oh, we're not helping 1 million people. This year, we're going to finish serving 5,300 households, over 15,500 people, probably 16,000. It sounds like no big deal. And when we call it donate your stuff, we know it's not stuff, but we're not going to call it crap. But we're also, it's like you have stuff you don't need. We've got to get it to the people that need it. You know, what I've been working on for 20 years is there is brand new and there's landfill. Getting everyone to understand the gray zone and keep squeezing out the goodness has really been what this is all about. So we're very lucky that we've grown into what we are today. We've got a Bloomington location and a Roseville location, and trying to come to the Northwest, right where we are in Brooklyn Park right now. So Brooklyn Park, Maple Grove, and so we'll talk about that too and why we need to do that. And so the good news is this: we are I put it this way, we're the largest furniture bank in the country. That is to brag about the community. We are not the poorest state and community in this country, but what Minnesota and the Twin Cities, what I call especially our 9-county metro, is we get philanthropy, we get volunteerism, and we get recycle reuse. And I'm going to focus on the reuse component because that's the part I've been working hard on for years to get everyone to understand, no, trash days are trash days. Trash is trash. Recycling is recycling. Reuse is a whole nother ballgame. And we've got to start working on it even harder and being persistent in what I say Draw the line. That's good and usable. It comes to us in these other places. That's garbage. Go take care of it. Because what we also, you have it right here in your vision, we deeply dive and lean into dignity as well. If you come on a tour, and I invite everyone to come take a tour sometime and experience what that is, because our warehouses, one, we're not a small little thrift store. Bloomington is 26,000 square feet. We've been in that home since 1997. Took us about 5 times to land there. Free. We ask for things for free all the time. We landed in Bloomington. We've been in Roseville since 2006.
How big is that facility?
The last one was 22. We are currently in 70,000 square feet.
Okay.
Room to grow, because we used to pay rent. Now we take a little rent. We are occupying 50,000 square feet of the 70. So it's our main stuff hub. Bloomington is still a little more of our corporate headquarter address. As we expand to the third, the reason we need to is we have no space. Good news, bad news. We've got stuff. Bad news, we need more stuff because there has continued to be a wait list to get services, which we'll dive into. But we need more space to put the stuff. COVID's a great example. We shut down. We ended up in that first few months, we had to store 20 semi-loads of stuff somewhere else. That was a blink of an eye. We went through it in a few months, but we committed to saying, that is not garbage. That should not go to the landfill. We're just going to stack trailers and get it done. And we incurred the cost. We kept the good stuff and moved it along. So when a county or someone else then says, well, no, I can't give you money for that. I'm like, but I did the thing. We kept stuff from the landfill. Just a little bit. Can you give me a little bit for it? But that's the conversation that's good for down the road. So we've been doing it for COVID. We only shut down for 3 weeks. I was home. We shut down officially for 5, but I was home for 3 and we were back at it. There was no time to say, sorry, we're not open now. So 5 weeks of no client shopping and saying, hold on, we got to get safe and we got to get reoriented. And we had to establish our critical sector status because everyone doesn't know what to do with us. As a furniture bank, there is often a, what are you? We stand on our own island oftentimes, no matter where we are. So the good news is we've got that furniture bank, got the status, but when we turned the faucet back on, we couldn't start at 100% because you had to work the systems and work the tweaks. Everything pre-COVID was an in-person shopping. We always wanted a virtual shopping trip. Well, guess what we did the day after we shut down? Well, I guess we're doing that. Let's figure it out because when we reopen, that's just what we have to do. So we added virtual in. So if you couldn't make it in, and we do have that here. Think of those days when it's 95 and hot and humid and you are not a 25-year-old able-bodied person and you've got to walk to the bus stop to get to your appointment. I mean, we always like to think of it as a parents in a snow day, but the reality is if you can't leave work because you can't leave work, you've got to work and make the money. On your lunch hour, you sit in your car and you're on your phone shopping, maybe. So adding all of that in gave us such more flexibility. Even if it's a snow day, they were coming in. They can now say, I'm not coming in, but yep, I have a phone. I'll shop from my house.
And it's optional?
It's all, they get to
So
choose.
they could do in person or virtual?
Totally. So we love that. So the good news is we just have to keep being adaptable, be flexible. When we say, when Jackie read the mission, we've got just the most focused, wonderful mission these days. Really, I say it because it is exactly what we've always kind of wanted. And you move away from the words that are like transitioning from poverty and homelessness. No, we really just want everyone to be able to thrive in their homes, which I know you all can identify with what that means when you are making a safe, affordable, accessible living situation for folks. So the good news as a furniture bank, as I was saying, we're the largest in the country because of those 3 things. Pre-COVID, were about 80 other big registered ones in the country. Currently, that number is closer to about 60. When I look online on the National Furniture Bank website, there's sadness that others didn't survive COVID. If they were just too small and they couldn't get their communities to wrap around them, it's no different than I say, when Katrina hit, we had people asking us, what are you going to do about it? And the question, we go, well, 1, there's nowhere to ship stuff to right now. But did you know there's a furniture bank in Houston? we'll give you their information. You should support them. That's the community that needs your help. And by the way, we have people right here in our community who need us. That's why we're here. Like getting everyone to connect and understand what's already in their backyard, because Minnesota hides it real well. Our poverty and our need. Most of the clients that we're helping, they're earning less than $20,000 a year. When we meet them for the average household of 2 to 3. So the way it works is right now we have 270 agency partners. Yes, it could be the cities, it can be the health services programs, it could be a school district. Hennepin County last year sent about 600 of our 5,009 households. Big provider. Well, with 270 agency partners, they're not all counties. We have 2,400 caseworkers. When I say we, that's because for as much as I say we are here to serve the clients 100%, my next favorite thing to talk about is the caseworkers. You know, anyone who works in social services and nonprofit, in any case management, 24/7, there's no on-off. If I can help make a caseworker's life easier, that means more people will be helped. So I call it a love fest, because it sometimes can feel like that, because one, we're serving well and we keep improving it. And even when a caseworker says, I love you, have you ever considered, and we have multiple times said, let me check into that. We should consider that. When they say, we love you, you give them a whole basic home setup. I then have to figure out delivery. Have you ever considered delivery? And we're like, well, no, but we got a 26-foot truck last year. Maybe that would work. We check into it. Next thing you know, how are we now? It started in 2008. 80% of our clients these days are getting a bridging delivery. Right. They pay the $75 appointment fee. The agency does. It's primarily paid by the agency. And they bundle right with it. And your stuff's going to be delivered to your house tomorrow after you're done shopping. And they're paying the extra $200. So we get to bundle it, control more of it, get it together. Because as caseworkers said it to us, the challenge really was, and this is when I say advocating for the people who need us to advocate. We started it not just because they asked, but we also heard the tales of someone saying, well, the truck came, but everything wasn't on it that was supposed to. So we loaded it. We've got to check off that we loaded it. That truck arrived and not everything was there. Or the truck arrives, they paid the bill, and then someone goes, that's 3 flights of stairs, not 2 flights of stairs. I'm going to charge you more now. Things like that. And we're like, we don't like this. How about we just do it? So that is our own staff, our own trucks, gas, insurance, maintenance. That's why it's $200, but we feel pretty darn good about it. And that's just, again, a response to how can we make this even better? I love that. So we've done a number of things along those lines, but it doesn't need to be a big county contract. A lot of our clients are also coming from faith communities, small nonprofits. There's a faith community a mile from the Bloomington warehouse. They send about 10 families a year. Fine by us. It doesn't need to be 600. That's the beauty of it, is that squared away, good to go. Off we run. It is about 80% of the caseworkers, agency partners who pay all the fees. On occasion, they're passing that along to the clients. On our website is what we call our agency finder. So there's a whole, tell us more about how clients get referred, because that's the piece for a long time in our history got lost. That we were feeling like, well, if someone can't walk in and get help, how are we making sure they know what the process sounds like? And I would say our last 10 years, we have really thrived in getting this message out. So I will go somewhere and talk about helping clients because I have the right answers and a way to share some information and go, hey, here's how it works. Because what we also know is that if you don't have safe, affordable, accessible housing, you can't come to bridging. You're not on the streets, you're not in the shelters. That vital step there, which again, like many places in our country, shameful. I am the first to say, that's the stoppage so many times from people coming to us, or losing the housing, because where are you going to put your stuff then? So yes, in our 38 years, not only have we added delivery to that program, we also, in 2009, changed that mission statement, and we no longer say once in a lifetime.
Oh,
And yet for so many who go,
Yeah.
You are. I'm like, no, not since 2009. We drilled it in because yes, it was the right, like we're just trying to help everyone. But the reality of poverty being cyclical and the gap widening, that number continues to rise. And so that is part of also how we're helping. You know, someone just told me they were letting go of a storage unit 10 by 20. You know these better than I do. I don't know why I'm saying it. For like $150 a month. And I was like, so for everyone who complains to me about spending $125 for my truck to come out, I'm like, how many months you been in storage? How can we help? How can we have the conversation? And so it really is everything from the counties. It's also programs like MACV, domestic violence, runaway. There are clients that are 16. There are clients that are 92. I've met them all. It could be a household of 1. It could be a household of 19. Met them all. Now, not all 19 go shopping at one time. It's 2 volunteers and typically 1 person from the household. Sometimes it's a translator, an assistant, because it is overwhelming. Like I say, come to the warehouse, come get a tour, check things out on our website. We've got some great videos. 2 new ones are launching tomorrow night. We're going to have some more. It's always fun at gala time because when I see it on every face, I give a tour to. You walk through the front lobby, you walk into the warehouse, and there's a, oh my gosh, what is happening? And that's someone who's not living on the streets, coming out of a shelter, new to the country. There's all these things. And so that is exactly it. And you get this too, because this is the conversation you're having. So when I'm meeting a client, because 2 volunteers said, Diana, we need your help. Our client's been having a trouble making choices, and they'd already been at it. A normal shopping trip's an hour, and at that they were already at the hour, and they weren't halfway through yet. And they said, "Can you just come? We'll move on to the next one." Sometimes a change of pace, and I step out and go, "How's it going?" And we start connecting. And he said, "Next thing you know, the language is because the way we would give away our beds is at the front window. You can't see it to then pick it." But he was assured he'll get a queen bed and then we'll pick the linens out. As he and I started talking, he's like, "But if I don't see it, I don't know. If I don't see my bed and get my linens for it, how do I get a good night's sleep? Because if I don't get a good night's sleep, I don't go to work. If I don't go to work, I don't pay my bills. If I don't pay my bills, the whole thing just goes." And this is the moment when you go, "Okay, we're going to go pick your bed up. I'm just going to tell the warehouse we did this. Your name will be on it. Let's go get your linens." We went back to the furniture. Bing, bang, boom. Everything just falls into place. And so that's the moment when we say, bring dignity to the conversation.
Right.
Make that feel like an experience. And it's volunteers. So for us, we have only 40 paid staff in 2 buildings, 6 days a week, more than 8 hours a day on most of those. And we do it with about 700 individual volunteers. Tomorrow, there's 80 volunteers total at our 2 buildings. They're the regular Friday volunteers. In the afternoons and the weekends and other things, we're doing groups, one-time activities that lends a hand as well, too. So those are also the kind of thing where Minnesota truly is remarkable. I have other states call and they're like, "I don't get it. How do you get volunteers?" And I kind of go, "I don't get your question." They don't call you because we're so richly in that and we think about it. So that is even in my 20 years, it might have been I volunteer, I might give money, I might give stuff, but we stack now. It is just, do you have 1, 2, or all 3? We're good with all of them, but what would you like to do? How do we be part of it? You know, when I started, it was primarily volunteers and very few paid staff. Actually, when I started, it was about 12 staff, 1 building. And all the volunteers that just were there digging in every day, doing all the work. They're in the warehouse, they're answering phones, they're checking in clients, shopping with clients, a wood shop, an electrical shop, trucks on the road, the sorting room, the scavenger hunt. Those are your friends when you're cleaning out your spaces too. I say lean into what you are, people. When we have to color coordinate and work with towel sets, I'm like, you know what you are. Are you quality control or are you the color coder? Just do it, whatever it is that you do it best. And so the volunteers have been vital. It's around 70,000 hours donated every year, which is the equivalent of another 38 full-time staff. So again, the joke was always before COVID, oh, we couldn't do it without the volunteers. And we knew it, and it was a good haha to say. Until then, we couldn't bring them back right after COVID because we had to set up right. And there was an announcement, we're going to do it for 2 weeks without volunteers. It was like, what? I'm not sure how, and that was only 40 clients a week, not 100. Like one day I went, oh, that's going to be a long 2 weeks. How soon can we bring people back in? Because we just got to get it done and keep it going. So pretty fantastic. So that's in terms of how clients come to us. That is fantastic. The value of what most folks walk out, I talked about the fees, $75 appointment fee. They leave with, on average, 600 cubic feet. What does that mean, Diana? That is a third of a 26-foot truck. So, and that's for a family of 3. Because everyone who looks at our warehouse and gets in there is often that sense of, there's so much stuff here. You don't need mine. And I go, oh, right now, we are 120 households a week we set up. That number is already right now 20% more than when COVID hit. We could easily add another 20% on this. Tomorrow, 24 households will be served. 20 of them waited 2 months to get that appointment. The backlog has been with us since COVID hit, no matter how much we keep adding in. So when I say 120 households, I need right now 15 semi-loads of stuff in to send out 15 semi-loads. Now that was last year's number. I've done the math. We're going to end this year 300 more appointments. Ran my number and went, oh, 36 more semis this year. Great. In a good way, because every time we keep thinking we're not keeping up, I'm like, we are. We just continue to grow. And we just are piling more on, and we're trying to get the backlog taken care of. So for us, that really comes down to the top tier items. Yes, we're happy to have a bit of a fee to keep our systems moving. We're okay with the delivery fee because it's a service and that's just going to keep that program running. Our budget's over $4 million a year. Some of it's the earned income. I just talked about it with fees for clients and delivery. We also charge a fee for our trucks to go out. We have $125, gets our vehicles to someone's curb, garage, driveway. I had to think about the third one for a minute.
For pickup
Stuff.
That's for picking up,
What was the fee?
to donate. Yep, and I'm gonna pass it 125. Probably gonna have a price increase next year because we just need to. And I have more. On our website, for those who are online, if you go to bridging.org and go to click Give Stuff, it's right on there. We like to talk about the quality. I'm going to kind of move into that right now. I'll pause though. If you want to know more about how clients come to us, if you want to know more about history in any way, the growth pattern, I want to dive into because I think it'll be good for you to hear us talk about the stuff, as well as our donor resource list and some of the partnerships that I have been continuing to grow because it's how we're going to get more things.
I volunteered at Bridging for a week when I was at St. Kate's. It was really fun. We could just sign up. There was a description. So that was pre-COVID, maybe obviously, maybe not. And that was, I guess it had to be before 2008 because that's when they were saying one time ever.
Yeah.
So, and it was a case, so again, case worker referred, but it was so great how much variety of things there. And I love the idea that they were picking out their own, that it wasn't something assumed. Like how many, what is the volunteer development in that way? Like, is it a bunch of colleges like that? Or
it is everything you can imagine.
Okay.
I will say of the 700, take 2/3 of that, and I'm going to tell you it's retirees. Because that's who's free on a Monday morning at 9. That is also some folks who work full-time, so like our Saturday crews and some of our afternoons, people who work and come in for a couple hours in the warehouse. The other third our students, high school and college, I'm going to be frank and say it is less than it used to be before COVID.
Okay.
Students have not come back in the same way as they used to be before COVID. Schools are a little more apprehensive, and they didn't quite all come back in deep to the requirement end of things. On the flip side, there are colleges now, so many more folks who are in college. Normandale was a great example. We loved working with them. We still do. Pre-COVID, we'd get 35 per semester, hardcore. Some of those gave us 80 hours per semester, 40 hours. And it is now much more extra credit suggested and not required because people are juggling work, family, and school. And so the dynamic has shifted a little bit. We still do groups. So on top of that 700, this is where that menu of opportunities, which I'll pull out too, and is on our website called Get Involved. The group opportunities are also where we thrive because we want to make sure someone can come in for one day for 3 hours. Just yesterday, a group was in from, where were they from yesterday? I'm going to forget. Regardless, Target, Best Buy, Olsen Thielen, about 50% of our group hours are corporate groups. So as we just talked about it, some of those, yes, they're voluntold to go for team building, right? It's not the same, but it's great because they give us a lot of service. High school students, teams, sports, National Honor Society, student council, you name it, they're coming out for an experience. And we're working with faith communities as well. Confirmation classes. We start our volunteers at age 14 in the building, but we're running, I know who was in today. I was trying to think. Last weekend, this week, AARP, Minnesota chapter. We're just a group opportunity they could sign up for. We had 25 in Bloomington today, 25 last Thursday in Roseville. So yeah.
You work much with the developmentally challenged at all in the high schools? Because there's a contact in Bloomington that we might be able to connect on if we don't.
We sure do. Depends on the program.
Okay.
And it depends on what they're looking for the students too. Because part of it is we need them to come in long enough as well. Because we're so heavily dependent on volunteers, that means less staff for direction.
Right.
So what works is though, for example, in Bloomington, Richfield, Edina, the interdistrict program for the 18 plus, the transitions, love them to death. We are highly connected with them.
Bloomington High School and Kennedy and Jefferson I have a contact with.
Correct. We've worked with them too. Okay. Their challenges, they don't have the right time frame. They have like noon
to 2
and not even to 2. Okay. So by the time they get to us and leave, and that is the worst time of day to bring in a group like that because it's highly transitional. Our own staff are taking lunch and moving, and our volunteership moves. Okay. So not as easy. Okay. But we still connect up. We stay close with a bunch of them to say, hey, what's semester looking like? Is it still the same time frame? Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but we do, for sure. Mm-hmm.
I know they're looking for opportunities, and for the ones that are not quite graduated, they're older.
Mm-hmm. Those are the ones we love. They come in with their professionals, whether it's a one-on-one or they're coming in actually with a little bit bigger group, and we've got the right time of day, and it's great. Yeah. So yes, volunteering. I'm so glad you came from St. Kate's. We just had Citizen Katie out on Saturday. Actually, we came to campus and we did our dresser building program. It's a buy and build sponsorship opportunity. We do about 2,000 a year, and they've been doing this with us for almost 10 years. We love it. Yeah. Thank you. So what I just passed out, the donate stuff I wanted to cover with you. Also, our quality standard and what we take, the pickup program, and then talk a little bit about our resource list. So my job now, I've been with all the volunteer programs in the past. We continue to build out community and marketing. Currently, my job, and I'm tasked then with even deeper, get the stuff in. Because again, we are desperately trying to get more stuff to then take the backlog down. So the top of it, quality standard, the best way I can say it, yes, on paper, you can say no rip, stains, tears, pet hair, strong odor. All right, there's your basic statement. I say to folks, marry that with it. Can you also say, I'd still use it in my own home, upstairs, downstairs. I would give it to my family member or neighbor and not be embarrassed. I know there's still gray zone there, but until I joined Bridging, so I was a volunteer before and our family had been connected. And until you start mashing that together, that's the moment when someone goes, oh, now I get it. I'm not saying it needs to be new and perfect. Yes, we take new items. Happy to. But I also need gently used items, and that's how we're going to get these things in. So many people still 38 years into Bridging continue to say, I didn't know you took X. Now it's less of it. Someone pulls into the warehouse on a Saturday and they've got a box of housewares, and the person next to them brought furniture, and all of a sudden you hear this exchange that says, oh, you can take furniture here? And the furniture person's like, oh, you can do housewares? So we've come a long way getting people to understand what we do in volume. And so on the list, it is very detailed. If it's on here, we want it. If not, no thanks. There are dimensions, there are sizes. There's a reminder constantly that I don't need full sets. Here's the two examples I give because they're right on the money. So when my friend Becky knows we need sheets and I'm picking her up for something, she's yelling from the door with something in her hand. You need pillowcases, right? Yes. And she just gets in the cart and she throws them at me. 2 brand new pillowcases. She goes, my new set of sheets came with 4 and I only needed 2, because it was like a queen set. And she goes, please take those into Bridging. I don't need those. On the other side is when my friend Jen says, Diana, you need dishes? I said, yes, please. Because even for us at this point, a family of 4 gets dishes for 4, silverware for 4. Like when we say basic setup, that's not 4 people get sets for 8 and 12 sets of 4. It is the basic because I got to get to the 15,000 people, right, for those full sets. So she says this and I go, we sure do. She goes, oh, good. It was a set of 8 and I broke a couple of pieces. Thanks, Jen. That's now a set of 6 with a couple extra pieces. Don't worry about it. Like people just letting go of that idea that things have to match and be all connected. We take those parts and pieces and then we get those right out onto the shelves. Great volunteers in the sorting rooms, getting those sets together and putting it out for families. So the reason it's also really fleshed out because people forget not just the housewares we're looking for, but the detail getting into things like, yes, I want your toasters. Yes, I want your lamps. Yes, I want your toast, portable, your hair dryers, your fans, if it's on here, I want it. Plain and simple. For a long time, we lived in the world of don't give us this. Well, the problem is people would then start looking and forget that there's something in between that says, don't give me this.
Right.
Because we were never good at expanding. My example is the bathroom. And I know people are like, I don't want to talk about the bathroom. And I go, well, it took us a very long time to get a usable big bath towel for every person every year. Once we satisfied that the first year, about 10 years ago, there was like a, yeah. And I went, that was a lot of work. We got to do that every year. And then the moment we satisfied it, there became I want rugs. I need shower curtains. I need waste baskets. I want hand to just the bathroom alone, the things that people don't ever think about. So those are those ones. We have had more thank you notes written to Bridging, calling out a laundry basket or a waste basket that we packed into. Not even that they always even chose it. So forever, for us making sure it's on the list because no one's going to get it. Who wants the plastic bag hand on the door handle? If you don't we have waste baskets. Do you know how many companies and other places are like, I've got 200 from a hotel. I'm like, yes, please. Yeah. I'll take your waste baskets. No one wants to buy that when you're only holding $20,000 a year, right? Like artwork, it's on here. It's the things that make a house a home. We want to furnish that home with hope, which means, yes, we need the basics, but we also love the opportunity to say, here's the art. Pick 6 pieces. Because otherwise, for many of those folks, they're in a rental. You're not going to have the extra money to go buy things. And so good news is this, hotels are finally remodeling after 5 years of not. In our 38 years, we've never had a dry spell like this. Terrible. So the good news is hotels and hospitality is turning the corner. And I can say that very candidly. It's like our friends at Normandy Inn. They've been longtime donors. They kickstarted a couple months ago. The last call they gave to us is the light fixtures are being swapped out. I have 400 lamps coming, floor and table. Where does it go if it doesn't come to bridging? Liquidators don't want to touch it.
Right.
400 lamps. I'm not at an ideal spot even. Right now, we give 2 lamps for every household. Whether you're 1 person or 11, I need 240 lamps a week. So when I say 400, that sounds like a lot until someone goes, just over 2 weeks. I go, yep, we're moving fast, but we love it. So it's happening. At every hotel, we need to know the general manager, housekeeping, and the event staff. And we will turn things down. I just went to a hotel at the U campus last week. I turned some things down, but I went to go double check. And we had a conversation, and they're identifying everything else they know that's sitting in their hotel somewhere. And then the retailers, our friends like Slumberland, Room and Board, IKEA, Original Mattress Factory, they are phenomenal partners, and many of them for decades. And they're giving us kind of like Slumberland's a good example. You buy a bed, they take away the old. The ones that are in good shape, same as Original Mattress. They are huge suppliers and have been for 30 years. They just do it. They don't even, it's helpful for them too, but that is great. Those are the kind of partnerships we're doing more with. So the list is very detailed. The back gets into locations. Bloomington and Roseville are hours of operation. No appointment necessary. One of the best things I like to tell partners like yourselves is you don't need to worry about scheduling your time with us. Just showing up. Right? And that's the beauty. I mean, the only people I say, can you maybe let me know, is when someone's coming with a trailer, like a full-on semi. 20 trucks even. We just go, hey, great. Like we worked with Presbyterian Homes. Great example. They've been a partner for years. They've just had 2 different senior living buildings make renovations. The second one, she goes, I'm just going to pay for transportation for Beltman to come over and bring it to you. Like, great. Because the last one was, we had so many trips and it was a little hard on her end that we had to schedule. Our resources are thin.
Yeah.
She goes, no, I'll just pay them. I'm like, thank you, Carla. Over the course of 3 days, we had roughly 8 26-foot truckloads of stuff brought right to us. We're ready for it. That was just their group. I go, just give me the high sign. What days are you coming? We'll be ready. Great. So that's good stuff. And then on the bottom, it talks about our fee-based pickup. Fee-based pickup started in 2009. We were kind of the first in town to do so. Yes, I often have the question, someone saying, but I'm donating my stuff. Why should I pay you? And so I go, I hear you. Prepaying in the past would have been my explanation of our pickup program. I would have had to take 10 minutes to explain it because it would be, okay, so you've got stuff in Shakopee. What zip code? I'd look it up. Great. All right. Do you have 2 or more large items? Because that was our way of at least, is it going to be worth it to go?
Right.
Then we'd go through it and then it would be like, great. Now, can you wait 4 weeks? No one's waiting 4 weeks now because we've got more trucks and more fees. That gets us there. We dabbled in in-home pickups pre-COVID. The reality is we never charged enough. Never charged enough. And we just couldn't anymore. What happened in COVID too, we lost a ton of our retirees who were already kind of on the cusp of getting ready to stop going on the trucks, driving and handling. And they did. So when you now have to pay for staff to go on trucks to go out, now it can't be free and cheap. But it covers the cost and it gets us out there. And so that is really great because we're generally a week out. I say 2 weeks when we're in high season. High season's right now, fall. And then that snow is gone April, May. Well, last year, I don't know what the world was. We shoveled twice and it still felt like winter and no one was doing anything. So who knows what that was? But it's great. We travel all across. We move our zip codes. There's a scheduling system 24/7. Anyone can book and go online for those pickups. The other thing that I really wanted to call out today too is really make sure you know that we also partner with the haulers like Junk Masters. And those folks, so Junk Masters is a good example from the end of when my cousin calls because they're moving out of the house of 57 years. Dad's already passed. Mom's moving to the care facility and their siblings, and the 2 cousins call and she goes, okay, I'm going to move my stuff into the garage. So I'll get some movers to help me with that. And then I'll pay for your truck to come. And I go, Deb, I mean, you're not going to want to spend more money, but you're going to, right? You have more stuff. She goes, oh, we haven't touched the attic, the basement, the garage. I go, family 5, 57 years. You've got more stuff and I don't want it. And you know that. So how about you call Mitch over at Junk Masters, have him come on over, give you a bid. She's like, oh my gosh, yes. Best experience ever. There's others who do that. Cause then I go, if you can afford it, the one and done approach is great. Mitch saved things for us during COVID when we were closed. Mitch goes out of his way to ensure that the stuff he's picked up gets to us. He brings it right to us. Plus we'll go to their site when we need to. There are other great partners we have too. He's just the one, he's small enough that we can lock and load with Mitch. But College Hunks of the Eden Prairie franchise, we're working, I'm training drivers, I'm training teams. We share with them the impact they make so that they save on cash. The example would be 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Very different size operations, yes. But when they called and said, I've been tasked with saving money, and I go, great, we used to work with you. I've been waiting for your phone call. And so when the call comes and the leadership team of 6 comes out, they don't make it into the warehouse 10 minutes. And they're like, we got that and that and that and that. And I'm like, let's figure this out. That was last year. That first meeting led to, we're going to come to your warehouse on 280 every Wednesday and pick up stuff. The first year they gave us 700 pieces of furniture. Didn't even blink. We do 50 home pickups a week. 1-800-GOT-JUNK does 500. So when someone says to me, how you do get more stuff? I go, how I get more stuff is to get to the people who don't want to pay me to come over to get stuff outside their house and who are doing the big haul ups, which is working. That's the good news. 100% is working.
Keeping it out of the landfill, so
Correct.
I commend you.
Yeah. But we've had to get really particular, and I have to explain the systems. And I do the same thing with the cities. Tim Pratt and I are tight in this Brooklyn Park, and we keep trying to figure a few things out. And I think the good news is the conversation is going in the right place. We're figuring things out now. When my friends in Dakota County say in a partnership about mattresses and box springs, it's all good. But my win is I want more pieces. Plain and simple. I know they're out there. It's not all trash. We've trained certified recycling, but the county, a win is if they've saved one mattress from the landfill. I'm like, well, that's not a win to me. Let's make sure more people get a good night's sleep, number one, and stop putting the good ones there. So we're making strides. You know, we had some low numbers last summer. We do this whole promotion in the summertime. It was our 4th year, and we had 50 pieces, not 7 this year. Great. We're making progress. We rejoined ourselves with the city of St. Louis Park last week, where cleanup days are not my favorite because that's a trash day. I'm reuse, not recycle. But the city wanted to try something new. I said, let's have a conversation. And I said, I will come. We'll be a bed saving spot, but I want to do something else. And when I couldn't do what I did, I still said, well, let's do housewares. Let's just demo what this looks like. Because we've just got to train the division. So we're getting there. I need to find more money and convince more counties. Because frankly, in all of those scenarios, I say, I don't want the money. Because we're not going to expand our staff team and our truck fleet to that level to make it worth. But what I do want to be is written into the grant to be the people who get the good stuff. And you're going to do a little bit more for me. And we're going to figure it out. We just participated in one of the first swaps on furniture and some housewares with the city of Apple Valley. Dakota Valley just did it. So yes, we organized it together. We got it aligned. We vetted everything and said yes or no. So that if it ended up not being taken, it was already screened and we're going to bring it to the warehouse. And he also said, and I have money. I said, great. He goes, I'm going to pay your staff time. I'm like, great. For some extra off hours, you know, just every little piece counts. But I said, but I don't want to be your people. You figure this out, pay some other movers to do some moving around and hauling, because I just don't have extra. That'd be great. But I go, but I'll tell you some names of movers. I'll give you business on somewhere else who I also know knows us and knows our quality and those kind of pieces. So the stuff's important. The other one, and because I needed time for questions, is on our website, we have what's called the donor resource list. It's on the donate page. This is my May version, and just today, we finalized our next
But I
version.
think ours is out of date.
This is great. So
This
we'll
is
get an
May.
updated one.
We update it every 6 or 8 months.
Okay.
And literally today, we are just blessing the next version. We're actually doing it sooner than we normally do. We found some updates that had to be made. The intention is what we love is to take this when someone pulls up to the door and goes, "Oh, thank you so much. We don't take clothing or bikes. Here's who does." And
Right.
pretty much that satisfies
This
a
is
beautiful
incredible.
moment.
Yeah.
I love these. When we just did a City of Minnetonka downsizing session this past year, late spring, early summer, they thought it'd be like an hour to an hour and a half. I was invited with one of our friends from NAPO and Mitch and myself, and we went into this meeting thinking, oh, she goes, I hope for 50 people, and we'll just do this for like an hour. They had 97 people in the room, and we went almost 2.5 hours. There just came a point where like, we have to stop. Because when they look at our 2 lists, and they've now met an organizer and they've met the hauler, it's gold. And so I'm trying to get more of those going. Because if we can just keep getting the message about how to tackle this.
I'm wondering about the Living Well event that's coming up here in November. If she might, or we could maybe just print your stuff out for that, but we can talk after.
Yeah,
Because there's one here in Brooklyn Park.
Yeah,
on
senior
November
event.
15th.
I love it. We're in Egan tonight. That's why Joel's not here and I'm here.
All right.
So I'm going to say a quote because we call them the lives we touch. And then I just want to make sure if there's any questions. Let me make sure there it is. Because the beauty of 5,009 households last year is that we see them only for a quick moment in time, which is from nonprofit. I've been there. What is lovely is in a 1-hour shopping trip that someone will open up and tell their stories and talk to the shopping assistants in a way that I think is remarkable. That tells us we've created a safe, dignified, welcoming environment. We always have room for growth, don't get me wrong. But the idea that someone can be in that moment and then leave with a sense, and we get quotes where they're written to it, or we've got a great storyteller who says, would you like to tell us more? And so this one, so you were all there, DeWanda, she shopped here earlier this year, late winter. You're all there when it matters. You are very uplifting. You let people know that there is someone who cares. That matters the most. I felt that no one cared, but when I came to Bridging, I found out there is someone who cares. The people were down to earth. We had a connection. I'm one of the people who needed you. You had my front, back, and middle.
Mm.
And we have a ton of these, and I love them because I'm like, because I could just grab a new one every couple of weeks.
That's amazing.
Because that's it. I don't know how in 1 hour it happens, how the magic happens, but it does, which makes us just feel good. Because there's a moment on any tour I give when I go, okay, pause. It doesn't smell. I know someone's thinking it because there is someone who's going to think like, I expect it to smell like an attic or garage. And I go, it doesn't, because it shouldn't. If what we're providing, we've got great folks who, I don't need an electrician, master electrician working in the electrical shop. I need someone who knows how to plug things in and clean them. That's what, like, there's no vacuum fan or toaster oven in my house that should leave and go right to the shopping floor. All of it needs love. They put magic into those vacuum cleaners. They clean them all up. And if you were the person who earns $20,000 a year and you needed a vacuum, buying one is no small order.
No.
So it's a lot of stuff. I'm very excited that you invited me here.
Wonderful.
Think of us, introduce us to others.
Yeah.
We're problem solvers,
Amazing.
but we're not afraid to say no, thank you.
Know your stuff. Do they have any questions?
Any questions from online or on the computer here?
You want us?
Oh, here comes.
Thank you.
Just a thank.
Thank you, Kaya.
Okay. Anyone have questions in the room? So thank you so much for coming. That concludes our recording.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Diana, I would just ask one question.
Yeah.
In